matchups that interest you?
Yeah, listen, it's probably more the style of the two teams playing for me. The coaching thing is always something that intrigues me a little bit more. And knowing both these coaches so well, and particularly their coaching group, so I'm really, really interested to see how Pete, contains probably some of those. Watching Collingwood, they do have a distinct style, as we watch the Saints just come out on the field. They have a really distinct style and use those key position players that we were talking, those AFLW players, really well to their advantage. So you will see, we will be calling a lot of those names out that we know. So it'll be interesting to see how Pete does that. And similarly with Penny, Pete's got a really distinct plan, and her players very much have roles, understand those roles. So if they are able to, deliver those roles, you really sort of, it's almost, it's quite the team of champions playing I won't say champion teams, because you've got to win something to be the champion team. But as I said, I think it'll be that real team style versus those big names. So it's going to be a fantastic game. Not saying St Kilda doesn't have plenty of the big names, and certainly they're going to be names that we're going to be talking about in AFLW4. So that's really what it'll be.
Interesting. I just saw Pete walk past, and she's got a pretty handy assistant walking with her in Brett Ratton. So, that's wonderful. He's working his way up to the box there with her. So, to me that shows a really invested club as well, and someone who's really invested in their own club's development and their people. So that's really nice to see.
It is, all the big names. I see Berkey's out there as well. Might get the running jersey on. So, and it is, you're right, Meg. St Kilda coming in, it's so important. And we saw that with North Melbourne last year, and the way that Ben Brown, I guess, as a player and a big name, and how they encouraged and supported one another as the male and female teams. St Kilda's able to do that. It makes your life so much easier. And there's so many more resources you can access as a player, as a coach, as support staff if your two teams are on the same page.
Yep. And St Kilda are wearing the Pride jumper today, so they've got a colourful backing where the numbers are. And I think you can see a faint rainbow on the 50-metre arcs as well. So good to have a little bit extra for this qualifying final today. It's the VFLW Women's Match of the Day. You can, of course, listen to us on RSN Carnival 2, WARFradio.com, and at 12 o'clock you can also hear us alongside the video stream of the game on the VFL app. My name's Lucy Watkin, and I'll be calling the action alongside James Strebanoff with our experts Nicole Graves and Meg Hutchins, with Elise Collett down on the boundary, keeping an eye on all of that for us. Now, also during the week, St Kilda elevated a few more players up until the AFLW list. Caitlin Greiser, also known as the G-Train, went up there. And they've been periodically elevating players up onto the list, and it's been really exciting, the videos and the social media the club has put out. Does that sort of excitement around the group help going into a final as well?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. It adds another layer, I guess, and, it's... a club and a group of players celebrating people individually. It's really, really great to get the group up and about and to, really, really get a lot of energy. So I'm unsurprised that Caitlin's been elevated. She's been really, really great throughout the whole year. So, she can kick it from probably 50, actually. Yeah. So she's probably one of the only ones I can see outside Sarah Perkins that can kick it that far, which is great.
Yeah, a very good get for the Southern Saints and for St Kilda, Caitlin Greiser. She started playing last year at Melbourne Uni, kicked 5 goals in her first game in the VFL last year, so she came in and made a splash. But it's good to see a good crowd here at Victoria Park. Still plenty of people just rushing in to the ground. Also got both cheer squads here as well for Collingwood and the Southern Saints. The Southern Saints cheer squad unfortunately got kicked out to the other end of the ground earlier in the day.
The Pies staked their territory.
And the Saints got here early, stole the Collingwood's cheer squad's end, so the rivalry started nice and early this morning.
Yeah, and we are.
And then the Collingwood crew came through, and next minute the Saints were packing up all their bongos and off they went down the other end. So, we thought it was on. But no, the cheer squads have kept it calm, and as I said, the rivalry has started at 10:30 this morning. Don't worry about that.
We are set up just in front of the interchange benches here at Victoria Park, just in the stand. We'll have St Kilda heading towards the Sharon stand in this first quarter, so to the right of your radio dial, with the Saints heading towards the river end of the ground. We're just about to get underway now with the umpire just checking anti-density, and also looks like getting an errant football off the ground as well.
To start with, we've got Erica Fowler lining up on the wing here, so I reckon that's probably to counteract Kelly O'Neill, who, as their winger, drops off into the back line for St Kilda to support. So I have no doubt that's probably there to counteract her effectiveness of taking intercept marks.
That's your expert Meg Hutchins alongside Nicole Grace. But to get us started, James Strebanos.
It may be August 31st, but the finals have started. Hines on the ball now. She gets the ball, left it behind, tackle in the centre, and it's ball up. Quick whistle by the umpire as we start this game. Umpire throws it up. Hines gets the tap on the floor. Trying to get it picked up there was Hines. She couldn't do so. Quick kick away from the Saints, top of the 50. It was Sheila there, couldn't get her hands, but she gets it back and she can run to 45. She gets tackled. Was that Lambert? Yes, it was. She'll get the free kick.
Oh, she's not getting up to.
That was a hard tackle there by Lambert. Kicks it sideways. Good kick onto the halfback flank marked by Hales, but it'll be brought back as she's feeling that tackle.
Yeah, she hasn't moved there.
She literally has not moved.
Sheila got crunched by Lambert.
Fair tackle too. Fair tackle. You got. That's Jamie Lambert for you. She loves tackling. She hunts the people down and obviously hunts the ball equally as hard. But unfortunately, we don't want to see that. I think they've called a stretcher. So, not great for Kate.
And we speak about intensity in the finals, and hasn't it started with a bang?
She's on her feet now. Sheila just getting some assistance off the ground.
And the girls just coming over to her, giving her support. This will be Lambert who'll take her kick again. Unfortunate, but she had the good switch kick to Hales. She'll go back in that direction. On that time she goes to Buchan. Buchan in the back pocket, just trying to play that possession game, Collingwood. She kicks it to Hales, and Hales takes a real strong mark there at halfback for the Pies. She'll go long down the line. So Leighton there trying to crash the pack. She'll get this off hands. Couldn't quite pick up cleanly, but here's Lambert. Takes a bounce. She's on the wing now. She'll go inboard a little bit and a bit of back shoving, but it worked. And the mark was taken by Lynch on the wing. Handballs to Lambert, who's had a fair bit of it so far in the first minute of the game. Off hands, and the ball's just trickling towards the boundary. Keeping it in there was Shevlin. It's holding the ball, and St Kilda will have it on the back flank.
So working it backwards now, St Kilda. They're just going to switch it to the outer side. The kick didn't hit the target. In pursuit is just Hales and St Kilda player. They're working it on the other side of the boundary. St Kilda just kick it up towards half forward, towards McCarthy. McCarthy in the long sleeves today. They go inside 50, about 15 metres from goal. Just tapped over the back there by Carlton, back into the hands of Carlton. McCarthy, she's run down in the forward pocket, holding the ball so far. Intensity has been high so far in this qualifying final. So Lee, she's going to kick it towards half back. Kick wasn't great, but it was picked up by Khan. Michaela Can got it away, clear and kick up the line towards Hines. Hines takes a strong mark. Appealing to the umpire for 50 maybe.
I think Tilly Lucas-Rod wanted to steal it out of her hands there and claim it, but there might have been a foot difference in height there too.
So Hines goes up the line looking for Leighton, who's double teamed. Carlson, he'll just run it over the boundary line for the Saints.
Leighton's presence really important there. She's crashed the pack on a number of occasions already. I think she's playing that full forward role. She's the only one inside the 50 for Collingwood, and I think there's a free kick to the Saints, last touch out of bounds rule there as the ball trickled over, because they do have the free kick, but it will go to the late inclusion Carlson, who just does the chip kick onto the wing. Mark couldn't be taken, it trickles over and out of bounds.
Yeah, it looks like both teams are trying to use a little bit of shape to come outside of their back line here. That side, obviously, Saints were hemmed over with the wind, but yeah, I reckon that's the ball movement we're going to be looking at today.
The umpire just tosses it in. Good ruck battle so far. No one could really get the tap on that occasion as the ball just bounced, and we see the intensity has lifted already as the ball's just trickling around on the wing. Big tackle laid by St Kilda, and the umpire will ball it up yet again on outer wing. So the ball being played on both wings so far as Kelly gets the tap and just thumps it forward towards the boundary. Quick kick in by the Saints inboard. There was Hales, tried to dish it out, couldn't do so. And the umpire will... Is it a throw-in? It is a throw-in.
Yeah.
Just a few stoppages now on the outer wing.
Lambert's moved forward here. Lambert's moved forward.
So that was Hines getting the tap and tapped out towards the boundary for the Saints. Another throw-in. Had a couple in this last minute.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with Lambert obviously resting forward, because it looks like Kat Phillips has been picking her up when she's been playing that midfield role, but she's gone forward now and Kat stayed in the midfield.
So Callie and Hines wrestle again in the ruck. Callie won the tap down towards Brown, who got into the path of Phillips. Greiser is there applying some pressure, but it's Collingwood who will get away with the ball on the outer wing. Malloy just taking a few steps. They've given a free kick away.
It's an illegal shepherd there, I reckon.
Collingwood. Oh no, sorry, the Saints. Oh no, he's going the way of the Saints. Just on the outer wing there. Play it up the line. It is Collingwood 2-on-1 against Caitlin Greiser, player we mentioned before, who's just been elevated up onto the Saints AFL list. Have another throw-in on the outer wing.
Yeah, it's just getting stuck on that far side wing with the wind, so we may be straining our eyes for most of this game, Hutchie.
Kelly won the tap down, landed at the feet of Brown. She didn't get clean possession, so it ends up in the hands of LaJoya of Collingwood. Goes up the line, but it's out of bounds and it will go over for a boundary throw-in.
So Lynch just couldn't keep it in play on that occasion, and umpire will throw it in for about the 5th time on the outer wing in a row. No one can really get some play going their way. It's been a bit back and forth in the early stages of this contest. Poppy Kelly with a really good tap and just wrapped up straight away in the tackle was Benici.
You tend to find that in finals, the first sort of 10 minutes, lots of stoppages. Obviously the wind not helpful, but both teams trying to use the width early, and now just sort of that contested balls come up.
Yeah, so both teams just getting a feel for each other. So Saints now with the ball just in the middle here. They'll look to kick it inboard, and Peter likes to use those angles, and they'll get Collingwood will get the free kick just in the centre. It's Buchan who kicks a good kick, but it's dropped, and they'll kick it long towards the top of the 50, but the kick wasn't great and intercepted by the Saints, who go forward, and they'll kick it towards the top of the 50. Now they're going to get a chance if the ball stays, which it doesn't, because Livingston, who's a bit of a goalkeeper down back, got it up. Lagoya on the wing just kicks it long and high, and Carlson can intercept it on the back, which she has done 2 or 3 times already in this first quarter. So she kicks a mongrel out to the Molloy direction, who picks it off and intercepts. And when Molloy has the ball, normally something good happens. And she just bangs it forward to a one-on-one. Leighton couldn't quite get it. The ball's kind of bouncing away from her. Didn't want to get to Leighton. It will go back out of bounds.
No score yet in this first quarter. I've been playing about 12 minutes. Been playing on that outer wing in the middle of the ground.
Yeah, it's really just been that far side between the arcs. Listen, Collingwood have been inside 50 once and St Kilda twice, so you can see just not being able to penetrate. Certainly half-back to half-back at the moment.
Phillips combines with Vesley with a one-on-one. Sorry.
Yeah, I just feel like there just needs to be a little bit more open, like smaller hit-up leads just to kind of hit some targets and gain some territory. At the moment, they're just sort of playing a bit of volleyball, kicking it to each other all the time.
So Dargan with a free kick on the outer wing. She goes up looking for Leighton. Leighton gets the ball off the ground, throws it up in the air, and the umpire says holding the ball. So another free kick going the way of St Kilda, just in between in between the arcs. The kick goes up long, looking for Bahana, and trickles over the boundary line. So we'll have another throw in. And we'll go down to Elise Collette with an update on Kate Sheila, who went down early in the first quarter.
Yeah, thanks, Lucy. They're just icing the side of her face at the moment and doing a concussion test on it. So it appears to be a concussion-related issue.
Thank you, Elise.
So ball's on deck now, as both teams can't quite get continuity in their game, as the ball just trickles out of bounds for another throw-in on that outer side.
Yeah, that boundary ump, he might have to come in 20 metres, Hutch. Yeah, both of them seem to be able to change that first lane. When they're grabbing the footy, they're looking inside, and they may be changing that first lane, but not, that second and third to get it across the ground to really open it up, and that's why we're sort of playing almost that corridor footy on the far wing.
Callie's tap was good, but Brown could not quite pick it up in time, and she got wrapped up in the tackle. Be another ball up. So a lot of stoppages early. Both teams just getting a feel for each other. The intensity is really high. And this is what finals footy is all about. And that was Shevlin who got the handball out, and Collingwood are away on the wing. Ball trickles past everyone. There's big Leighton, who bends over, tries, picks it up, gets the handball away, and she did it well. It's Benici, who just kicks a barrel down the line. Haven't seen one of them too much in the season. But it's picked off on half-back by the Saints. Short kick, and this is what we want, but they haven't been hitting the targets as another ball goes out of bounds for a boundary throw-in.
Yeah, look, the Saints are actually taking quite a few intercept marks here in their backline, but just by foot, whether or not they just don't want to kick into the wind to use a bit of shape, but they were set up there to try and come out this towards the grandstand side, but just didn't come over. So they're certainly getting a lot of the ball. Just need to probably use it a little bit better, both teams.
So Callie won the tap down in front. Cleaning up was Xenos by Collingwood. She got a handball over the top, but no one was able to get clear possession. Johnson lays a tackle now on the outer wing for the Saints. We'll have another throw in.
Not an ideal time for rotations either. It's a massive pain when you get the ball stuck on the other side of the ground. So, Collingwood are doing a good job getting a lot of their players on and off, but yeah, certainly very, very difficult to get rotations happening here.
That's one of your experts, Meg Hutchins, the VFLW Women's Match of the Day. Qualifying final between Collingwood and the Southern Saints. Each team yet to score as we're playing the game in between the arcs on the outer wing. Bit of a swirly wind here at Victoria Park.
And it's interesting, the way that Collingwood have set up, sort of holding that corridor. So we're trying to talk about that with St Kilda trying to get inside the corridor being set up, and they've set it up beautifully with Shevlin and Malloy. So when the Saints are looking inboard and trying to look inside, and they're seeing Chloe Malloy standing there and Maddie Shevlin, they've decided not to go inboard. So that's probably what's stopping those switch kicks. They've just set up that line right through the middle of the ground.
So McDonald kicked it out on the full for the Saints, and the Collingwood got the free kick.
Big tackle by Lambert. It
was picked off by the Saints, and Lambert won the tackle. Got the handball to Benici, who goes up the line again looking for Dargan over her head, between the fingers of Carlson. Cleaned up by Shevlin, and her handball has gone over the boundary line. So I think we'll have another throw-in between the arcs again, just forward of centre for the Saints.
I don't want to jinx it, but you just feel the game's starting to open up a little bit.
Kate Sheila running back out onto the ground after a concussion test on the boundary.
And that was a massive tackle to open the game by Lambert, so it's good to see her back out there. Speaking of Lambert, just centres the ball inside the 50. Umpire calls play on as there was a massive tackle in there, but Saints just bomb it out into the Bahana direction. She gets bumped while trying to pick up the ball, and then laid a strong tackle, and it'll be another ball up.
Yeah, I reckon, you've got Stacey Livingston down there as basically the general down there for the Collingwood backline, and, I think she really controls them and controls how that back line sets up. So I think it's really important that even try and actually direct the ball through her opponent and make her work a lot harder. And that's really going to help the Saints, I think.
Lambert dished out the handball to Benici, just trickled it along the ground with a little bit of a dribble kick. Malloy tried to pick up the ball, couldn't do so. Another stoppage in the centre. As both teams opening it up a little bit. There's been a lot of long kicks from both sides, which have been getting picked off by the defence. No team willing to make big mistakes. As that was well done there by Guttridge as she kicked it to the wing. There'll be another ball up. It's been a lot of stoppages on that far wing early. We'll play about 10 minutes into the quarter. Umpire throws it up. Hines almost tried to catch that out of the ruck. Benici gets bumped, and then another stoppage on that far wing.
So just forward of the wing for the Southern Saints. Went the direction of Brown. She couldn't pick it up. Leighton in pursuit. She gets a clean ball, gets a handball out to Benici. Benici kicks it up the wing. Looking for a player through the hands of Carlson. Carlson taps it back to her player in McDonald, who gets to Vesley. But it's being claimed as a throw.
That was a lucky one, I think.
A bit harsh by the umpire.
So now Collingwood looking to go inside 50, looking for Lambert. Lambert pushed her opponent from under it. And so we'll have a free kick going the way of the Saints. The Saints go back towards that outer wing. Find Johnson on the left half back. Johnson just goes back. She's looking to go up that outside wing again. Over the head of Livingston for Collingwood as the ball just trickles towards the boundary at centre wing. Into the hands of Livingston. She did well to win the ball back there. Kicks it up the line. I think Shani Leighton didn't expect the ball really to get to her hands there. Went to the ground at right half back. Malloy got a kick inside 50 towards Lambert. Lambert puts the pressure on in the forward pocket. They're just trying to work it towards goal, Collingwood. There's plenty of pressure applied by the Saints. The ball comes out of the scrum and will get cleared away into the centre of the ground. McCarthy couldn't hold on to it as Leighton picks it up and just slams it on the boot inside 50 for the Pies. Carlson was there to meet it though, about 40 metres from the Collingwood goal, and we'll have a ball up inside 50. Your experts, Meg Hutchins?
Yeah, look, we got Lambert one out there in the goal square, and if I was that defender, I'd be very twitchy.
So the first real opportunity now, Collingwood get a free kick about 50 out of goal. This is Fowler. Has she got the distance?
Oh, we got Malloy waiting there for a handball, but they've cut that one off now. So, look, I reckon this one will probably go to the top of the square. And it could be anyone's.
So she comes in. It's a pretty good kick because Lambert just got to the line, but it was out on the full. And Saints will look to reset and get something going for them. As they've probably had most of the play, just haven't used the ball as well as Collingwood. But that was a good kick. Into the back line. That's O'Neill who has it. She's gotten 50 metres now. And this is an opportunity for the Saints, who haven't had too many. They've been the forward 50 twice. I think the umpire just robbed the Saints of about 10 metres there as the kick just trickles out of bounds on that outer wing. And there'll be a free kick to Collingwood, obviously between the arcs.
Looks like, Collingwood are actually really trying to prevent them from using that shape to come across goal and open the ground up. And it's playing a very, very skinny game of football.
Collingwood are blocking the corridor. As you can see, the players are set up in that line. So they're not allowing Saints to cut it into the middle. So they have to use the boundary. And that's why I've seen so many stoppages early on in this game, especially on that outer wing.
And that's where St Kilda need to take some time and hit targets. So they got that 50-metre penalty there. They raced up. They rushed it. Yes, they might have been ripped off 10 metres. They rushed it and then kick it out of bounds, dribble it over the boundary line. They need to look inboard. They need to try to get some run to open up that space. At the moment, obviously, Collingwood have really dictated St Kilda's game plan by, as we've just discussed, about holding St Kilda into the skinny part of the ground and making sure they do so. They're all sitting on the outside of that corridor, just really shoving them in, making the game very narrow.
So Buchan went to Malloy, who just chipped it. Collingwood playing that chipping game. It was well done there by Hines, because they're cutting inboard now.
Ooh.
Hitting the pack strong there was the Saints. As Collingwood just having more of the possession. There's Benici, goes towards the top of the 50. Cut off. And the Saints are away if they get clean position here, because they've got a lot of numbers in front of the footy. Umpire circling. Wrapped up in a strong tackle, and it'll be another ball up.
Yeah, it's very one-on-one a bit around the ground. I think that's where Collingwood have probably just, backed themselves to ensure that if they play one-on-one footy, that they think that they've got, the skills to beat their opponent and win this footy game.
Each team yet to score here at Victoria Park. Guttridge just plays it up the line on the outer wing. Sheila was there playing for the ball and got a free kick. So good to see Sheila back on the ground after the early tackle. She went down with a suspected concussion. Tried to play on, has been taken holding the ball. As you said, Nicole, just trying to play it a bit too quickly there again, the Saints.
Yeah, they just need to get some composure, and no doubt Pete will be sort of saying that, we're near the end of the quarter, and they'll be just talking about that and how they move the footy, because Pete, she won't like this game style and she'll want to open it up, so we'll see some tricks, see if they can expose that.
And there's the siren for the first quarter of the qualifying final between Collingwood and the Saints. Each team yet to score, with the game being played on that outer wing in between the arcs, so no real chances for either team. But we're just going to have a quick break, and when we return, we'll have the second quarter of the qualifying final. Both teams yet to score here at Victoria Park.
The smell of baking. Routley's Bakery is so good. Why not grab a Routley's slice to go with your coffee? Make it a classic apple slice, a bee sting, or a vanilla slice. That's absolute custard heaven. You can make a move on a muffin, or go all the way and bite into a wicked Nutella donut. Routley's Bakery's right across Geelong, as well as Altona, Newport, Williamstown and Ascot Vale. Fancy a Routley's pie? Of course you do.
Hi, I'm Peter Holden from the Women's Australian Rules Football Podcast, the show with the most comprehensive look at the women's game.
It's a great environment to be in, and it's continually just going to get more and more professional.
Getting to wear that Guernsey for the first time, it's just a special moment.
AFLW, state leagues, grassroots and women's footy on the international scene.
The Iron Maidens are still very much the team to beat when we get the Nationals.
Tough to travel around Europe as lots of national team players still students.
Hear the program each Wednesday evening from 6 p.m. on RSN Carnival 1 Digital Radio, or download more than 170 episodes by going to WARFradio.com.
Need a new car battery? RACV comes to you 7 days a week. Book your installation online in just minutes and they'll do the rest. To book, visit racv.com.au/batteries.
Next week is Legacy Week, right around Australia. Since 1923, Legacy has been caring for families of deceased servicemen and women. Now, Legacy gives care to over 60,000 dependents, including widows and children. Next week, look for Legacy badge sellers in streets and shopping centres and at sporting events. Buy a Legacy badge, a pen, a wristband, or a cute and cuddly Legacy bear. Or make a donation at legacy.com.au.
We go round Victoria for RSN 927's Country Notice Board. It's your statewide heads up on the best racing experiences in all three codes. Andrew Q's whips around Victoria for Country Notice Board. Tuesday mornings at 10 and later on podcast.
RSN Carnival 2 is the VFL Women's Match of the Day.
Quarter time here at Victoria Park. It's the qualifying final between the Southern Saints and Collingwood. My name is Lucy Watkin, calling the action alongside James Stremenos with experts Nicole Graves and Meg Hutchins. And we have Elise Collette on the boundary for us as well. Each team is yet to score. It's just been played between those two arcs on the outer wing, Meg.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's not an overly pretty game to watch at the moment. But I guess that's the nature of finals. You sort of both teams sort of feeling where each other is at the moment. But I just feel that, the Saints are getting a heap of the footy. They're taking some marks, so they actually do have time to make better decisions. They get the ball up. But what I probably want to see is a lot more of their forwards actually hitting up at the ball. Collingwood are filling that space through the middle of the ground, so there's got to be a spare player somewhere. So I would imagine that Pete would be imploring her players to increase their work rate, to actually get on the end of a few footballs here. We speak about Caitlin Greiser, incredibly great hit-up lead. Take Stacey Livingston with you. Get her moving, get her out of the 50, and actually make her work hard for what she's worth in terms of her defence. So that's sort of what I'm saying, that the Saints just need to get on their skates a little bit here and actually hit up lead. Take their time with the footy. So you're winning the footy, you're taking your intercept marks. Now use it.
Yeah. Nicole, what were your early impressions?
Yeah, listen, earlier, the first few minutes, I thought, it's going to be a ripper game here. But both teams were brave. They switched across goal to get out of defence, which I always love to see because it just means that they're up and about and they're confident. Both defences, as Hutch was saying, I'd also like to see both defences almost that running halfback. They've got to be brave enough to take off, and that might give them that width that we were talking about. So those halfbacks just really just taking off when they've got the footy and making sure that their players and their team can come across into that second lane and get it through to the middle of the ground and really just do that. So it's really going to be who's going to be brave enough to take off and make those options, rather than what we don't want to see in finals footy is everything just squashing it down with stoppage after stoppage, and no one wants to see that, and it doesn't show the skills of these girls, which is what we came to see.
And the wind as well is playing a bit of a role in the game so far. It seems to be blowing sort of across the ground to the outer wing where a majority of the play is happening. How do you combat that, Meg?
I would say bring the ball over this side. You've got the grandstand here, which actually adds a little bit of protection to what the wind's doing. So try and bring the ball over here and then just, as I said, small hit-up leads, territory down this wing. And then once it obviously gets inside 50, then you can actually do a little bit more with it. So, I'd encourage both teams to try and get the ball, over to this side of the ground, out of the wind as best they can, and then they can actually, as Gravesy said, use the skills and use the talent that they've got on the park.
So this quarter we'll have Collingwood heading towards the Sharon stand and the Southern Saints heading towards the river end of the ground. Both teams just heading out into position now. Very long huddle for the Saints there. Nicole, if you were Peter, what would have said in that quarter time break?
Yeah, as I said, I think it'll just be to settle. They are getting plenty of possession, but it's how they're using it. They are kicking it back to where it came from, that old chestnut, and they just need to make some better decisions. That's where I'd like to see, if they've got it coming out of halfback, because it has been played out of those arcs, for someone with some width, the other halfback flank or the other pocket to just take off and really put some pressure on that. And it might just make the oppo make some poorer decisions that then turn it in their way. So both teams need to be brave enough to do that.
So the second quarter about to get underway here at Victoria Park. Elise Collette was down at the Saints huddle. Elise, what did you hear there?
Yeah, Peter Sell had a few key messages. She kept reiterating how it's finals, the situation's different, intensity goes up, and she wanted her girls to not play safe footy and be willing to take those risks.
Thank you, Elise. So siren now sounds for the second quarter. To kick us off, James Strebanos.
Yes, second quarter is now underway as Poppy Kelly gets a big tap there as the Saints go forward. And now off half-back, well done. There was Fowler, kicked it forward. Mark couldn't be taken on that occasion by Shevlin as the ball's just bouncing around. Fowler trying to chase her opponent, but it's well done by Brown. Kicks the top of the 50. Sedentary was there, couldn't quite pick it up. As we're probably going to have another stoppage. No, the handball was out there by the by Greiser, and it's going to be thrown in. Just 50 out from the Saints goal.
And we've started a little bit the way we finished in terms of where we're at between the two arcs, and Kilda got a bit of ascendancy early, as I said, really taking it on, and now we're stuck in that stoppage situation again.
Callie found some separation from Hines and got the tap. The free kick has been picked off, and Callie will get it. Just 60 out from goal. There's some leads on in the 50, but she just elects to bomb it long. A bit of a helicopter-looking kick, but it's picked off really nicely by Nicole Hales. We'll just slow it down. It's probably what this game needs, needs to be slowed down a bit, but that's a risky kick, and this is going to be a goal. First goal of the game. McCarthy kicks it, and Saints are on the board.
And Kate McCarthy, ever the opportunist.
Absolutely.
She just seems to find herself, particularly when it's around those goals, in the right spot. And again, brave to switch it across. Just the kick just went over slightly, and our old mate Kate McCarthy just happened to be there and got it through the big ones. And again, they've had plenty of the footy, and that's what this game's got to do. You've just got to keep pushing, take the opportunities where they come, and really it's about running.
Yeah, look,
on the move.
I think the decision was right there to try and come across. It was just the skill execution. So I think Penny would be, although it was a goal, should be okay with the skill execution, the decision to try and come across here. Just got to fine tune those skills.
So Callie in the centre just slaps it forward through the hands of her midfielders there as it heads to half forward for the Saints. Greiser couldn't pick it up at centre half forward, kicks it along the ground, gets it in front of her, but in pursuit is Fowler for Collingwood. She gets dived upon as she gets the ball. The umpire hovers, as he says, we'll throw that up.
Do you know what I'm loving seeing? We've got Molly McDonald here, number 5, and Gemma LaJoya here out in the wing. 2 under-18 girls going head-to-head in a qualifying final. Absolutely brilliant.
Hines that time won the tap out of the ruck, slapped it forward a good 5 metres, picked up and tackled immediately. Was the Collingwood player at right half back, I should say, for Collingwood. So we'll have another throw up, once again between the arcs on that outer wing. It's Hines. Callie Hines won the tap into the hands of Drennan. Drennan got a handball defensively to Phillips. Phillips kicked it inside 50 looking for Greiser. The ball just bounces around the boundary but then ends up out of bounds. So we'll have a throw in the right forward pocket for the Saints.
The game's just opened up a little bit. It's what we wanted in this second quarter. Obviously Saints got one in the first minute, and they've got a chance now as the ball gets tossed back in. There's a high tackle on Lambert. She'll get the free kick, and she'll try and get something going for the Pies. She gets a real risky kick in the middles over the head of her intended target in Shevlin. As it's socked away. Picked up by Ferguson, got the handball away, and now with the stiff arm didn't quite work out for Grant. Quick kick to the wing, Shevlin, but it's picked off.
Oh, I think that was Hannah Stewart over there. It was a fine mark, a defensive mark.
So Stewart on the half-back flank for St Kilda. They're going to go down that wing that it got played in a lot in that first quarter. It is picked up. Saints just hack it forward with some urgency, and a good mark taken on the top, about 60 metres up by Shearlaw, who does a short kick, and this is what we want from the Saints. On the boundary, centres it in, looking for a mark. But how's that for a mark?
You really need to putting that one to the top of the square. You're just going to get stuck in that pocket over there, so bring it right across and take some territory.
So playing it out of defence, just going back towards that outer wing, looking for Fowler, threw her hands into Hines. Hines got the handball wide to Lambert, and Lambert's going to go up that outer wing, but it's picked off by the player in Fitzpatrick for the Saints. So Fitzpatrick gets the handball inboard to a player who's under pressure by Leighton. Fitzpatrick got it back, her kick wasn't great up the line, and so now Collingwood will move it forward towards half forward, and there's no one there, but through the hands of Tilly Lucas-Rod. She fumbles the ball. She's under plenty of pressure from Dargan. Dargan just inside 50 now, Collingwood. Players come in to help the Saints, and now they're going to clear it through Kais. So Kais goes wide towards the stand, for the grandstand boundary, paddles it to herself, McDonald, pops it on the thing, up the line, but kick goes through the hands of Collingwood player into the hands of Bahana. Bahana now with the tackle. They're just on the edge of the square in front of our broadcast position, and we'll have a ball up.
Used a bit of shape out there, but that was more so just out of necessity. Just had to come out of defence and just get the ball on the boot. So it actually wasn't too bad.
And after 27 minutes, I can actually see the game. So it's finally on this side.
Hines just took it out of the ruck and wasn't that courageous by Lagoya, who kind of dived on it in the end. But the umpire's circling. Balls a ball up on wing, commentary side.
So what we'll see is the St Kilda, the Southern Saints wings. So at the moment we've got Phillips. They always just drop off at the back. They're actually engaging them here, which is a good thing for Collingwood, but they'll always drop the one off the back to get an extra for the defence.
Brown trying to pick up the ball here on hands and knees. We'll have another stoppage. Just 5 metres left to where we just had one. It's been a good ruck battle between Hines and Kelly, been pretty even. Hines on that occasion won the tap. And it's all wrapped up on the wing again for another ball up. I'm glad it's this wing and not the other one.
Yeah, can actually see who's playing now.
It's a lovely concept, isn't it?
Kelly with the tap, almost to Brown, but picked off by Zenos. Brown wrapped it up immediately just on the edge of the square. And the umpire watched for a little bit, so it wasn't going to come out, and says we'll do it again. So we'll have another ball up just on the edge of the square, just bordering forward for Southern Saints. Lucas Rod came in, ran over it. Carlson bumped her player off it and got a handball to Phillips. Phillips plays the ball into the centre of the ground. Grise will come through, but it bounces over her head. Huge bump by McCarthy, who just jumped into her player, but Collingwood get it away into the hands of Rebecca Grant.
Collingwood girls are letting her know about it too.
So she gets the kick up the line. Beautiful kick to Caitlin Lee at half forward. Caitlin Lee goes inside 50 over the head of Leighton. In the pocket is Malloy. Malloy just shepherds her player, and the kick, the dribbling kick from the left forward goes through, and it's Jamie Lambert. So Lambert adds to her tally of 21 goals for the season with 22. So now it's a goal apiece here at Victoria Park. 8 minutes played in this second quarter. Your experts, Meg Hutchins.
Oh, that is where Jamie Lambert at his absolute best.
Speaking of opportunists, Hutch.
Speaking of opportunists, we had both Lambert and Malloy down there, equally as good as each other below the knees, and, Chops will absolutely lap that one up coming. And that was on a left as well. Left along the boundary, dribble kick.
And St Kilda will be pretty disappointed. They've had it inside 50 4 times to Collingwood's 1, and they're 1 goal each. So you can just see what they're trying to do. The game is opening up, and those opportunities, and you can just see where the scoring's come from so far, about 10 metres out from both scoring ends.
Well, I think that ball was meant for Malloy, and Lambert just came over the back and on her left. That was brilliant stuff. But here comes Collingwood now out of the centre. The handball by Zenos. Just to no one in particular.
Oh, great work.
Is wrapped up in the tackle on half forward for the Pies. And it'll be another stoppage.
And it seems when these teams are getting out, it's this chain of handballs around the stoppage that are getting them out. These sort of handball patterns that are starting to get them out of these these real contested situations. So if they can get those handballs off quickly, saw Tilly, Lucas Rod just coming off the back in the stoppage previous to this one, just on the move rather than stationary. And if she had hit that, we would have been having a different discussion before that Collingwood goal.
Big tackle by Brown and Drennan as Malloy just bombs it forward inside 50. 1-on-1 with Lambert. She's out the back. Didn't quite get the favoured bounce. And St Kilda away, but it's picked off. It is picked off by Can. Michaela Can will have a shot. No, she won't. She'll pick it. She'll kick it across. I think it's Benici.
I reckon that's the first time a number 25 for the Pies has passed it off inside forward 50.
Oh, mate. Or actually, number 25 has actually been inside 50 for the Pies.
Yeah, right.
Hutchie. So, no, Hutchie's got great forward skills. I'm a big fan of her forward work rather than her defensive work, but she was pretty handy both ends. But here we go. Britt Benici in the safe hands. Be interesting to see.
She's
got
shanked
too close to the
She's
mark.
absolutely butchered it. And then the ball just trickled into the Collingwood change rooms.
Goal kicking craft 101. Always know where the mark is.
Seems like she just looked up and was like, oh.
There it is. And this is, the thing in women's footy is we continue to get too close to the mark, which makes our kicks average. You either got to be high or you end up trying to kick around them. So it's, it really is a simple thing to rectify. You reckon we could do it after a few years, Hutch?
I think so.
So just over the heads of the two ruck inside 50 for Collingwood. Extracted now by Vesely, who will get a clearing kick away, but it's a 3-on-1 on the outer wing. Hines in there with Hales, and they come away with it. The Pies. Hines just takes a run, tries to get a kick on the run, doesn't quite work out for her. McCarthy's there to clean it up. She was tackled after taking a few steps. The umpire said no prior, as they battle it out just at half forward for the Pies. Big scrum forming now over there as the umpire circles and says we'll have a throw up. And Kate McCarthy hasn't gotten up from that tackle.
Yeah, they may have a little bit of payback for Kate's indiscretion earlier, but the tackling over there has been fierce.
So they've just called time there over there.
The nature of finals football, you're as I said, the intensity goes up, the speed goes up, the hardness of the hits and the tackles goes up as well. So unsurprising to see it. Obviously, we want to make sure everyone's okay. But it looks like Kate's okay.
She's just been taken over the boundary as Malloy just dodges a few players from the stoppage, gets a kick around her body inside 50, looking for Leighton, went over her head into the path of Dargan. Dargan trying to get away with it, but was tackled. Managed to get the handball out into the path of Benici. Benici kick over the top, will go into the pocket. Lee and Lambert are there, but they almost spoiled themselves. And we'll have a boundary throw in inside the left forward pocket for the Pies.
It looks like Kate McCarthy's carrying a shoulder here. She's sort of making her way over to the bench. So looks in a fair amount of pain here on her left shoulder, collarbone area.
So Collingwood's playing Lambert one out. We like to see that. That's holding the ball every day of the week. And Collingwood will have a shot.
Looks like Sarah Dargan.
It does look like little Dargs over there having a shot. Little sneaky guy. She might be a bit far out, depending on that wind. But
she's taking a long run up.
She's off the long run up.
Be careful of a Lambert here again.
Yeah, be a little sneaky. There's a few Collingwood players.
Lambert's just in the goal square, just sneaking around, trying to get a bit of fancy footwork around their opponent.
Doing Lambert thing.
Actually, it's not Dargan having a shot, because Dargs is actually just sneaking around the top of the square there, Hutch.
Looks like
46, so yeah, it might be Michaela Can. She's not passing it off this time.
So she comes in, 35 out. That looks like a little bit of a pass to the top of the goal square, but it's picked off.
It was a dirty floating
Did she play on them?
She looked like she might have, Fitzpatrick, because she bit of a tumbler, but it'll be coming back in Collingwood's direction. It's played in the pocket, but it's out of bounds. Will be another throw in.
It's a good matchup. We've got Fiona Sturt here, ex-Eastern Devils teammate of Jamie Lambert, playing on her, number 26 for the Southern Saints. So, yeah, it's a great matchup.
She'll know her sneaky moves.
Yeah, and she'll be very nervous.
So it's 1 goal apiece at Victoria Park. About 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. Throw in.
Fitzpatrick and Lynch now doing the rucking duties.
And you can see how dangerous they think that Ree Watts just sitting in front of that pair of Jamie and co. So yeah, so you can see how important they know Jamie Lambert is in front of goals and how dangerous.
Tap down went to Drennan, who was tackled immediately. So we'll have a secondary stoppage.
There's almost a 2-on-1 on Jamie Lambert down there.
And she'll love that too. That's a challenge for her to rise to.
So the tap down one by Collingwood into the path of Malloy. Malloy around the corner. Dropping the mark was Dargan. So getting it out was Guttridge. You got it to Drennan. Drennan's kick was affected, but it was still good. So Sheila will just take it at right half back for the Saints. She's holding it up a little bit as she looks to go up the line. Goes up that outside wing. Mark almost taken by Stewart over there, but she drops the mark, and now it's under pressure there. Centre wing on the outside. Ball spent a lot of time there in the first quarter, but it's opened up now. So it's 1 goal apiece, second quarter. Tap down, won by the Saints. Ball just can't get clean possession, but Benici run through, pops it on the left. Just a little dinky kick over the top, looking for Lynch, who ends up with the ball. gets it inside 50. Caitlin Lee is there for the Pies, but I think the wind affected the kick. It'll bounce out for a boundary throw-in. 40 metres. Oh, no, it was out on the full, sorry. So we'll get free kick going the way of the Southern Saints.
Collingwood certainly owning this quarter so far. As this could be danger for the Saints, but it wasn't. As
the idea was there.
Yeah.
Again, execution.
So Collingwood look to go back inside forward 50. Good kick at the top, 35 metres out, but it's picked off.
They've got numbers out here now. They really need to use
Rod.
them.
The switch was on as Lucas Rod just goes to the half-back flank, and not a great kick to her intended target in O'Neill.
So the issue there was they had the numbers, but the numbers were too close to each other. They need to spread the defence a little bit more and actually, make them work a little bit more and actually use the width that they've got for themselves.
So Benici will head inside 50. Lambert was the target, but it was just knocked out of her hands by Johnson. Benici cleans it back up, and the boundary umpire says she ran over the line, so we'll have a throw-in about 60 metres from the Collingwood goal.
And this is where the issue is, isn't it? You can't get the width and get beyond that skinny side of the ground if they're not continuous leads. And what they're doing is they're leading and stopping then in the space. Yep. So it's not opening up anything behind. They're actually then leading into it and just stopping rather than that continuous lead. So that's what we want to see both teams do in particular, is just that continuous lead and also be brave enough to hit the angles. We want to sort of see it. One, I want to see it on this side of the ground so I can see it, but two, it actually opens up the goals much better for St Kilda at the other end of the ground, not having to kick into that galing wind.
So they're now playing Malloy one out in the goal square, switching with Lambert.
And a free kick's been found here for Tilly Lucas Rod.
And the matchup for Malloy looks like it's Darcy Guttridge, so two different matchups there.
So Lucas Rod heads back towards that outside wing, and then a mark has been taken by Stewart.
So Stewart can just slow the play down if she wants to, but they've been bombing it down along the line a lot, and that's exactly what she does. And then, as the result has been often today, goes out of bounds for a boundary throw-in.
And you can just start to see that first couple of minutes St Kilda had plenty of the footy, and now you're just starting to see that turnover with Collingwood now gone into forward 50 8 times to St Kilda's 5.
And they start taking a little bit more risk. They're doing the safe options, which is just kicking it down the line.
It's a safe option if you're 5 goals up.
So it's played on half forward of St Kilda. Trying to get around there was Carlson. She couldn't do so as it's out of bounds for another throw-in.
Yeah, it's obviously a tough game. We're obviously in the grandstand with the wind behind us and we can't feel it, so it's hard to tell what it is like that. We'll have to venture out, hutch at half-time and have a squiz. But yeah, certainly by the trees around the ground, it's a significant wind to the far side.
Leighton doing the ruck duties now for the Pies. Did it well. There's wrapped on. What a tackle by Leighton. Now Collingwood are away. They go in 50. One out to Malloy. Does she have the wheels to get past Guttridge? I think she does. She's taken him on, wrapped up, and it's holding the ball. Well done, Guttridge.
She knows her very well, ex-Collingwood teammates there, so I think Darcy knew exactly what she was about to get.
It was good, Darcy there, just corralling her up, making Chloe make the decision, and then obviously Chloe then gets too close and Darcy's able to get a hand on her jumper and hold her down, and once she was caught after dancing around, it was certainly going to be ball every time.
So Lambert played on for the last touch out of bounds, got a handball to Lee, and Lee put it in. Lynch couldn't take the mark inside 50, goes over the heads and over the line. So Shevlin will just hand it back to the boundary umpire now. Right forward pocket for the Pies as we tick down towards half-time. A goal apiece in the qualifying finals. That's half-time at half-time here at Victoria Park. Collingwood versus Southern Saints in the qualifying final. A goal each to the teams with Jamie Lambert on the board for the Pies and Kate McCarthy getting a very opportunistic goal for the Saints. Meg?
Yeah, look, I'll keep on probably drumming on about it, but we just need to keep using angles, keep shifting the ball around. Like, as Gravesy said a bit earlier, we haven't felt the wind out there, so it is pretty significant, but the best way you can counteract using the wind and sort of not be afraid of using your foot is shorter kicks. Yep. So you just need to be working a little bit harder, work into space, and then you hit up leads. They're the easiest kicks to make in a windy situation, not the ones that sort of hang out there and sort of just get taken by the wind. So get on your bike, get out into space, and then just small hit up leads. Use the space.
It's half-time here at Victoria Park. It's Collingwood versus the Southern Saints, and it's 1 goal each as we head into the main break. After this, we'll be back with the second half.
Another massive week on the Breakfast Club. It's great to have your company. If you missed any of the good stuff, here's a snippet. Scotty McLaughlin for DJR Team Penske in the supercars.
David Reynolds, he said you might as well be driving an F1 car.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's been cut up by his teammates, so he's obviously pretty upset about being the slower holding. I don't know, he's got more to worry about than me, I think.
Taylor Adams.
Last year was last year and there's nothing we can do about it. Regardless of what happens this year, West Coast Eagles won the 2018 Premiership. It's a learning experience that we can use in our favour, but the motivation comes from what we can achieve as a group to perform over the next month.
Mark Stevens with us.
Adelaide really under the pump. Mail last night half is looking grim for Dom Pike.
Do you think he'll be gone?
I believe that Dom Pike is unlikely to survive that external review.
Boxing comes to Bendigo this weekend. Jeff Horn read an article talking about your fight for your girls.
My main goal back in the past was to become world champion and to have that success, and I've done that now. Now it's all about setting them up for life, and the new goal is to become multiple world champion in different weight divisions.
Marcus Harris, Aussie cricketer.
Take us through what it was like facing Jofra Archer.
It was shocking. You obviously hear the toss go and you hear your bat and you're like, all right, I'll get into it. But dark and raining and Jofra's going 90 mile an hour with a juke ball, so it was hard work.
It's great to have the coach of the Blues with us. Tega, good morning to you.
Missing out on Stephen Cannelio. Do you just simply wipe him off the whiteboard and go to the next target?
Look, we would have loved to have had him, but I don't think we need to get too desperate and try and make something happen. I think our playing list is going to get better next year regardless.
Nice to have the company of two-time All-Australian Elliot Yeo from the West Coast Eagles with us. Photo coach's board with your magnet on it, and there was no other magnets on the board. Where would you put your magnet?
Smack bang in the centre.
Ryan Crowley, former Fremantle Dockers star.
Are you comfortable with being known as the tagger?
I go through stages with it, to be honest. When you're walking off the plane, and even today, and this little old lady's having a go at you, I haven't been playing for 5 years later, so she was like Betty White. She was getting into me, and I was like, I always say this, if you could be a bit of a jerk for 2 hours on a Saturday, you get to play 200 games of AFL footy, you'd probably do it, wouldn't you?
The Breakfast Club, 6 till 8:30 weekdays on RSN 927.
Thanks to the Tab.
It's been another big week on RSN Central, and don't forget to join us for a special show live from the Yarra Valley Harness Racing Club on Monday morning from 10:30 with my co-host AFL star Josh Jenkins. RSN Central, 10:30 Monday.
On RSN 927. Thanks to the Tab. Long may we play.
This is what you might have missed on RSN 927's Racing Pulse.
Powerful filly with the Group 1 bloodlines is going to roar away in the silver shadow. He's right down at the end. How cosy.
How cosy. As soon as it crossed the line, I just went, I wonder if Tommy Berry went, as he crossed the line as well. It was just that bit extra special, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, it was for Anthony and I, was just confirmation that she's going as well as what she'd shown us at home. So we weren't surprised by what she did.
How are you, Lindsay?
Well, don't forget to throw me in there. I was 60 the other day. Now I'm a senior citizen.
Oh, unless you get a cheap train and tram trip, does that ease it a bit for you, make it a bit more comfortable to deal with?
No, that gave me a kiss the other morning and said, I can't believe I'm married to a senior citizen. It didn't sort of make me feel very good.
Brian the Bear Kruger.
To be frank, we haven't sat around the Racing Victoria board table yet and had a discussion about plans to race at night at the Melbourne Racing or at Caulfield and at Flemington indeed. Both those clubs have talked about it themselves, but we haven't really seen a proposal.
Les has been kind enough to join us.
And he was just a horse that we felt needed a bit of time, which we gave him, and as soon as we put him into work and that, he was just really outstanding right from the start.
Out of the three girls, what sort of a recognition do they have of what Dad does?
They love to see me ride a winner because that means that they can go to the shop and buy a toy, so they understand that concept at a very young age.
Typical.
Yes.
In the inner sanctum is none other than Wayne Hawkes.
If you're telling me that Winks has to get a concession for being a female, in today's society, Matt, that's terrible. We are discriminative against the racehorses now. I know I don't want to go down that path, but in everyday society out there, we're not allowed to discriminate race, sex, any of that stuff. So I reckon the weight for age scale must be fixed and not talked about. I reckon we really need to do it.
Racing Pulse, the heartbeat of Victorian racing. Weekdays from 8:30am on RSN 927.
It was September 1973. Richmond defeated Carlton to become VFL premiers, and the first edition of the Family Counsellor program went to air. This Sunday, September 1st, Father Gerard Darling celebrates 46 years on the air. First on 3UZ, then on 3DB, then back on RSN 927. The Family Counsellor program, making radio history. Sunday night from 10 on RSN 927. Thanks to Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
Footy's greats and sometimes not so greats. Tell us about the very first time they walked onto a footy field to play their first ever AFL-VFL game.
When someone tells you you're going to play your first game and you're in that moment, nothing but joy.
Now, that's our ripping new podcast. You can always tell them you played one game.
I rang Dad and said, listen, I got my first senior game, but I don't know what to do because they've got me picked in the back pocket.
This is Kevin Hillier. Paul Daffy and I are releasing a new episode every Tuesday.
Everyone came down from Benio to watch me play. David Parkin rang me and said, we've decided to leave you out because you're just too skinny and too thin and you're going to get battered around.
You can always tell them you played one game. Check the podcast page at rsn.net.au, as well as iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, and wherever good podcasts are found. For Spring Carnival Punt, David Gately joins the Saturday Race Day panel. The respected racing analyst joins Greg and the team from 8am every Saturday.
Well, we all want a spring winner, and I'm looking forward to sharing my insights with you and the panel.
David Gately, now part of your race day every Saturday morning on RSN, where the Spring Racing Carnival happens. Nothing but netball. Welcome to the Inner Circle.
This is Sherelle McMahon inviting you to netball's own podcast.
Sherelle and Bianca Chatfield, superstars of the game, invite you into the Inner Circle.
He thinks outside the square, which I think is great.
Talking 100% about the game they love.
We're making a fresh edition every Wednesday, so come and join us in the Inner Circle.
Fans of netball are not going to dump netball because they suddenly like women's cricket or because they suddenly are following Ash Barty.
On iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and at all your regular podcast places.
She was right up in my face getting ready to do a spin-off and flick me in the face with her braids. Start on the podcast page at rsn.net.au. I don't even know what came over it. I just gave her a little peck on the cheek.
The 30-minute Trots Report. One out, one back. All the industry news from around Victoria and the people who make this sport happen. RSN 927 joins Harness Racing Victoria for One Out, One Back. Thursday mornings at 10 and then on podcast.
RSN Carnival 2.
It's women's Aussie rules. They're doing what they love. They're fast, they're tough. Don't mess with them because they can get rough. Are you ready for the challenge? Are you ready for the match? It's the call of the game. It's the VFL Women's Match of the Day on RSN Carnival. It's the VFL Women's Match of the Day.
It's half-time at Victoria Park for the qualifying final between Collingwood and the Southern Saints. It's a goal apiece in this clash so far, with Kate McCarthy hitting the board for the Saints and Jamie Lambert hitting the board for Collingwood. Low-scoring affair. Bit of a wind here at Victoria Park. Blue skies and sunshine as well. In the other game playing out today at Port Melbourne, Melbourne University are leading Geelong 38-34. First quarter goals to Jasmine Garner got the Muggers off to a flying start, with Ash Riddell and Katie Angelis hitting the scoreboard. Since then, for Geelong, Madison Maguire, Rochelle Cranston and Georgia Clark have hit the board, with Madison Maguire with 2 goals to her name. That game is currently in the fourth quarter out at Port Melbourne. But just before we head to our panel, we've got Elise Collette, who was down on the boundary for us, and Kate McCarthy just coming off the ground after a strong tackle on the outer side. Elise, how's Kate doing at the moment?
Just wait for the siren there. Yeah, just as that halftime siren went, she was still on the bench, getting some attention. She didn't have any ice on her, but she She also had her jumper off as well. I guess they were just trying to look at it and make sure that there weren't any issues, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just rest her for the rest of the game and just don't risk it, because there's bigger fish to fry in the future, and she's definitely one that they're going to need heading into the rest of the finals.
So one of the AFLW recruits there, Kate McCarthy, who headed down from Brisbane to join the Saints, just coming off in the second quarter with a shoulder complaint. And also Kate Sheelaw came off early in the game with a concussion sort of test, but she's back on the ground now, which is great. And of course, tomorrow the finals continue to play out, and we'll have the Western Bulldogs versus Richmond Tigers at Port Melbourne at 11:45, which you can listen to on the VFL app, on warfradio.com, as well as RSN Carnival 2 Digital. The siren is sounding for the second half here at Victoria Park as the umpires head out onto the field. One of our experts today is Meg Hutchins. Meg, how do you think both teams would be feeling just during that halftime break and coming out for the second half?
Look, I feel if I was in their shoes, I guess, I'd probably be feeling a little bit frustrated by potential ball movement and probably not being able to do what you want to do from an array of reasons. Obviously the win, but then also both teams are actually counteracting and preventing each other from doing what they want to do as well. So yeah, obviously happy with being able to stop the Oppo from doing what they're doing, but then incredibly frustrated that we can't actually just get things moving. But I think there's a sense of, both of them probably would be also feeling that we are getting our hands on the footy. We are actually doing some good things here. So keep plugging away. Let's just change up a few things, but, have the bravery, have the desire to want to change lanes and shift angles, and things will open up. So, I would imagine that would be the messaging, as I said prior to the break. Pete would probably be imploring her team to get that work rate up a little bit more, get out into space and then hit up leads, shorter kicks with the wind. The wind's not going to stop, so how can we best make the most of the situation that we're in?
It's a VFLW Women's Match of the Day, the qualifying final between Collingwood and the Southern Saints. It's a goal apiece. The teams just head back out onto the field for the second half. Your second expert for the game is Nicole Graves. It seemed like the wind is playing a big role today.
It is, and just going out and actually checking out on it, it's certainly going right across the ground, but it's also probably favouring at times the river end, although and a goal apiece, one to Lambert, one to McCarthy, good. But in terms of the players, you can see the mainstays for both teams have had plenty of it, with Collingwood with Lambert, Darg and Malloy, so those smalls, Britt Benici around there, but it's the likes of Shani Layton. It's really good to see Shani, who has talked about you're wanting to improve and committing to that improvement. So what I have noticed with her getting around the field, she's getting around the field much better than she was in her first season of AFLW. So she's put in those hours and certainly her game knowledge and where she's positioning herself, and when you're that tall, you have much more impact. So she's certainly having impact at not only there's a little bit of ruck work where there is, but certainly as a more key position player. So those kicking and that running style has certainly showed improvements, a commitment to that. In terms of St Kilda, again, some of their other players, I thought Guttridge, key in defence in some of those matchups. Tilly Lucas-Rods, trying to give that run off halfback that we sort of spoke about, although continuing to kick it down that skinny side of the ground. We spoke about McCarthy and her and Lambert and that battle of the opportunists down at each end, and they're so dangerous, those two players, and they get themselves in plenty of position. They're always on the move, which is really good. I've really liked Drennan's game, and Kat Phillips, I think, has really sort of charmed in with some good ones, but certainly some of those young TAC Cup players are stepping up for both sides, and certainly we've seen some of those battles as Meg discussed. Meg, it's the first time I've ever used Meg for Hutchie's name, so that was awkward. Yeah, so everyone's standing up. We spoke about those bottom end players, but it's really the decision making and hitting those targets. It's the basic skills that are going to open up the game. So this second half should be really interesting.
Yes, the siren just sounded again to get us underway. Players heading out into position. It looks like Kate McCarthy has changed her jumper, is wearing the number 50 now for the Saints. She was wearing the long sleeves earlier, shoulders heavily strapped up there as well. We might get Elise Collette to check that for us down on the boundary, but we're about to get underway here at Victoria Park. It's 1 goal apiece in this game, so the qualifying final, but we're going to have James Strebanos kick things off for us in this third quarter.
Yes, big second half is upon us. Both teams level, 6-all in the opening half. What can both teams conjure up? There's Hines in the ruck, couldn't quite get the tap. It was Kelly on that equation. Malloy chased her opponent, but the kick was away for the Saints. Oh, look at that pick-up and the handball over the top. Can this be a goal to the Saints? It can't, it is out of bounds. And that pick-up there by Sheila, just to run and break away and get the handball over the top, was special.
She's very quick for her size, Kate Sheila. She's really quite nimble as well, quite dangerous around goals, and particularly if the ball gets over the back. If she gets 1 metre on you, you're in trouble.
Sheila does the rucking and tapped it to her teammate. No, got the mark off it, but it wasn't 15. Just breaking away. Collingwood tried. Will that be ball for taking the game on? No, umpire says no. Kick away, and Collingwood to rebound. Just off a lot of hands, and it's trapped. Dived on the ball there. Was Buchan.
Yeah, nice dangerous spot there for Collingwood dangerous, and for St Kilda good. So they've just got to keep on the move here, try to lock it in.
So Sheila in the ruck gets hands down, but Benici with a bit of burst of pace kicks it over into the Shevlin direction. She picks it up, but it's out of bounds.
Yeah, made it really hard for Maddie Shevlin there. Just got a little too wide, but again, as I said, they're taking it on and they're going in the direction that they need to. It's just hitting those targets, just that final finesse.
So throw in now inside 50 for the Saints. Sheila with a very mismatched ruck contest there, as running over it was Brown. Brown just tapped in front of her towards the boundary on the outer side. About 70 metres now from goal. Phillips wrapped up on the boundary, got it free to Vesley. Vesley just plays it inside 50, looking for Sheila. Tapped out of her hands and into the path of Benici, who plays it long up the outer wing. It's there in the path of Khan and Shani Leighton, but it will go over for a boundary throw-in on that outer wing.
Stuck on that wing that we're so fond of, guys. Wind's doing its thing here.
Yeah, loving Victoria Park.
So now Hines and Kelly. Hines won the tap into the path of Drennan, who got a handball to Brown, but it's going to go inside 50 now for the Pies. Harassing is Sarah Dargan, but only into the path of Carlson, and Carlson will play it, clearing it for the Saints, and we'll have another boundary throw-in at half forward for the Pies.
So back on that dreaded wing that the game has been played majority of this afternoon on that side. Hines and Kelly have had a pretty good ruck battle so far today, as umpire tosses it in. And Kelly just reaches across and got the tap. Benici was the first to read the bounce of the ball when she got hands to it. And bursting out of the pack was Hales, who kicked at the top of the 50 to the Leighton direction. It's out of bounds. The skills have just dropped off a little bit.
Come on, mate.
Just need to shape this ball out. The Pies going down towards the river end. If they can get the ball out the back here and actually come out towards the grandstand side, even just by using hands, they can really open the game up.
So Phillips couldn't quite get the ball out, and the Saints do get it away. This is McDonald. He just dribbles it around the boundary line and it's out.
See McCarthy coming back on here in the number 50 jumper. Not used to seeing her without the long sleeves on, but got the left shoulder really heavily strapped here.
It was a pretty warm day today, so to ditch the long sleeves is a smart option.
Now, warm in Melbourne means it's 12 that are tuning in from other states. So, yeah, warm in Melbourne is sunny and 12. But it is a beautiful day. As I said, that wind stop, we would be sneaking into the 20s, no doubt.
So Sheila claims the mark of the clearing kick. just on the outer wing, half back.
That was one of those hit-up leads. You know, a short little hit-up lead, and then she looked as though she was taking her time with that kick now. Unfortunately, they've just turned the ball over with a free kick, but that's a little bit more about what we want to see.
As Meg mentioned, free kick going the way of the Pies. So just a handball off now to Benici. Just all on her own on the centre wing, goes up, high kick towards half forward looking for Leighton. Leighton elects to punch it instead of go for the mark, and the ball gets to Guttridge, who will play it back up that wing looking for Callie through her hands and into the path of Benici. She gets a defensive handball around and will get it back in a 1-2. She likes to play it just short up the line, just on the edge of the square, and there's a free kick here.
There's a bit of push and shove too, some people just letting everyone know.
There's a down the field hit, yep.
Yep. So just as she released that ball, just taken out, and it's been awarded downfield.
So Lynch just played it wide, now inside 50. Waiting for it was Caden Lee of the Pies inside 50, and it's been punched away over the line, and we'll have another boundary throw in on the outer side, about 60 metres from the Collingwood goal.
I don't know what Britt Bonici's done to anyone, but she's got no friends today. No one wants to pay her any attention, and she is racking that football up. So, yeah, not sure. Maybe the Saints need to pay her a little bit more attention here because she's causing a lot of damage.
Callie got the nice backhand tap, but not to the advantage as Shevlin just picked it up and went forward. Leighton used the body well. She'll get a free kick.
I don't know how you get a high tackle on Leighton.
Yeah, well, there was the other ruckman there, so the only other person on the field actually tall enough to reach the neck. But you just see those, as we were sort of discussing, Shani, the strength that she can have in the air, and just making those contests and bringing it to ground, because Collingwood does have a really electric amount of smalls that sit around that stoppage, so they're really working that well with Shani, just tapping that ball down and punching it around as it's coming in.
She's a thumping kick. She's lining up. She might have the distance here, but Alexa goes short, and it's cut off and played on quickly by Saints turning it over. I think that's Malloy just trying to run onto it. It is, as she dishes out the handball, the quick and fast handball. It's intercepted, and Saints have a one-on-one here. It's the G-train, but it's picked off by Livingston.
It's a great mark.
Just had to turn around, and the ball was coming towards her, and what a great kick down there.
It just shows, I guess, Stacey Livingston's experience. We sort of say that Caitlin Geyser's in only her second year of footy, so just lost the footy there. Just lost the footy, and Stacey could pick that off.
So Lucas Rod with the intercept mark, as Lambert almost run her opponent down. It did affect the kick. Couldn't make much of it, was bunker. But there is a free kick, and it will go the way of Collingwood. This could be a chance for them now. Zenos, just 55 out, will set it up, will go long to the top of the square. Can Collingwood get a mark? No, they can't. As pack amongst it, and it should be thrown up. Umpire calls play on, but says it'll be thrown up now, and Collingwood have a real chance.
I feel like I'm a bit of a cracked record here, but this is where Jamie Lambert's very, very dangerous.
She'll be lurking around the pack here, you'd reckon, Jamie Lambert, as Leighton tries to tap it forward. Tackle was good by Dargan, but Saints on the rebound, and this will trickle out of bounds unless she can keep it in. She does.
Well done, McCarthy.
McCarthy did well. Almost unrecognisable in the number 50.
Just shows how long she's been in Melbourne for. She's ditched the long sleeve jumper for the short sleeve. She's sun's out, guns out. Hutch?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't believe there's no zinc out there either.
She is sort of holding her left arm a bit.
She's not 100%, I don't think.
Towards the body. The ball in comes in. Johnson.
Yeah, it's very stiff, that left arm.
It's almost sitting cross-legged. Johnson at the bottom of the pack there. So we'll have another ball up. Hines won the tap down. Coming through was Shevlin. Shevlin got a kick around the body inside 50 for the Pies. Lambert is just hanging out the back there. Gets into her path. She props, gets it on the right. Kick around the body towards Lee. Bounces into her hands. Right snap. It'll go to the right. So the first score of the third quarter puts Collingwood in front. 1-1-7 to the Saints. Just the one straight goal. Your experts, Meg Hutchins.
Yeah, Jamie Lambert read that really, really well. She was actually behind her opponent, but just knew exactly what the football was going to do there, and gave herself a little bit more space. So I keep on drumming on about it, but she's incredibly dangerous around goals.
Yeah, and they probably needed to be smarter than really having a shot from the pocket. It was a bit of a kick and hope, whereas they did have the shape around them, and it was pretty open forward line to be able to release out of there and get it to a Jamie Lambert really in a really dangerous spot.
Collingwood have set up well, so St Kilda trying to go over the zone. They couldn't. Good one-on-one contest at the top of the 50. Just hacked it away. And out of bounds came off Ferguson's foot.
I feel like the instruction from the Saints is to come out this side, use the protection of the grandstand. So most of the time they have tried to come out here. So they must be tuned into this station, I reckon, in the coach's box.
Probably.
Lambert back in the middle. Johnson has Herbert. Gets a bit of separation as Hines tapped it. There is Lambert as she hacks it inside 50. It's not a bad kick. It sets up Malloy, who's playing one out. She couldn't quite get it. And it's Fitzpatrick trying to do all the work back there for the Saints. On hands and knees, and the umpire will ball it up deep inside 50 for Collingwood.
And it's a dangerous little forward line for Collingwood. You see Lambert in there, Malloy in there, Shevlin just logging around, Dargan. You know, it's really dangerous.
There's a good tap down. She almost took it out of the ruck lane and was able to throw out the pack. Umpire says no. And she's going to get a second chance here. She can't pick it up, but Lambert tried to. Dargan wrapped up in the tackle. And it'll be another ball up.
So only about 20 metres from the Collingwood goal in the pocket. Right forward pocket towards the river end. Collingwood going this quarter. Tap down. Won by Leighton into the path of Dargan. Kicks towards goal.
It's hit the post.
Hit the post. So that's a second score for Collingwood this quarter. They lead now 6-8 to the Saints 1 straight 6. Haven't got the timer on for this quarter, but it's probably played about 15 minutes, you would think. As Guttridge brings the ball out towards the line. Looking, we do have the thing. 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you, Meg. So Guttridge played it out wide. Greiser couldn't grab the mark, and now we'll have a free kick going the way of the Saints. I think the last touch out of bounds. So Greiser just running back to get the ball. So Greiser playing it now up the line, up that outer line.
Thumping kick.
Big kick from the G train. Doesn't find a player and just goes out of bounds. So I think we'll have a kick now going the way of Collingwood for last touch out of bounds. You don't want to see them playing that in between the arcs again, though, do you?
No, you really want to push. You know, St Kilda need to push. You can see now St Kilda, they've picked up on that line, so they actually have someone behind that sort of that centre line environment to try to get the release, but they've got to be brave enough to release it. To get those angles as well. St Kilda as a G trainer, you know, absolute ripping kick. But you imagine if she was smacking that through, that would have been, you know, halfway across the ground and really starting to open it up for them.
So Fowler with a massive tackle. She'll get the free kick. Just on the wing for Collingwood. What can they conjure up as she goes to the top of the 50? Presenting herself well there was Lee. And then second effort, the tackle didn't stick. They have another chance as they go to the top of the 50 and parked under it there with the good Marcus Phillips. Just runs out of defence. The kick was pinpoint to McCarthy. McCarthy can go here. She takes the game on. She plays on straight away. Kicks it towards the runner. Picked up well there and then just evading and getting it forward.
Oh.
And good mark back there by Ferguson.
Yeah, we don't have the number 10 on our team sheet for the Southern Saints.
It's Jacqueline Vaught. There's Lambert in unfamiliar territory on the half-back flank. Later ripping tackle. And it's just wrapped up for the Saints.
Incredible courage there by the Collingwood defender there, backing into what was the G train coming at her back. So incredible courage there, and then shifted it out the other side.
Yeah, Ferguson, she didn't take the eye off the ball. There's a hurried kick forward for the Saints inside 50. Picked up by Vaught. Gets the handball out, but only to her opponent. as Leighton has space here. She picks it up. She gives a handball. A bit of a hospital pass, wrapped up. St Kilda can reset. Bit in the back there. Umpire says no. Malloy, one out. She'll back her ability here if she gets a lucky bounce. But what a tackle laid on her. What a ripping tackle.
No chance for anything there. It was absolutely ripping tackle. Perfectly timed.
No prior at all. As we reset for a boundary throw in.
So Collingwood leading in the third quarter by 2 points. No goals scored by either team yet in this second half. Being played again, a majority on the outer wing between the arcs. As Phillips tries to run through for the throw in, but the ball goes out to Brown, kicks it around the body towards Bohanna, the forward, and it's going to go her way. I think for chopping the arms, the umpire signalled. So Bohanna just on centre wing, just on the edge of the square. Goes inside 50, looking for Greiser. 2-on-1, punched out of her hands as Jacqueline Vogue just gets into the path of the ball towards the boundary. Tackled out of her hands and cleaned up by Livingston, but play on. Looks like they signalled for a free kick there, and they've played on now with Benici.
She's been good, Benici, this quarter.
Benici has been good. Played to Leighton. Leighton, strong mark there. Centre wing on the outer side. Got
Look
a
at
handball out
Benici
to
keep
Benici.
presenting.
Benici just followed up her good work from before. Big kick towards the pack, but through the hands. Cleared off by Carlson up the line. Great mark taken there. The Saints are away. No one inside 50 though for the Southern Saints. The ball goes over the boundary line, and we'll have a kick. Yep, kick for last touch out of bounds, going the way of Collingwood.
And you see the potency of that Benici-Leighton relationship, the talls and the smalls, but you know that relationship of basically Leighton hitting the contest, bringing it to ground, and then Britt Benici, working around her feet. And the same when she takes those marks, Britt's on the run, on the move, taking that collect, and what it does then, it just creates an overlap and can create the changes in angles that Collingwood may need to get it down the other end.
Lambert takes the game on and just goes long to the Malloy direction as Shevlin picks it up. She ducks, so it's not called high by the umpires. The ball trickles down, a strong tackle for the Saints. And they hack it away to the centre. To no one in particular. The G-train was lurking. It's picked up by Phillips. She handballs it away. It's Benici. She's done a lot of good work this quarter. She goes to Malloy. Couldn't quite stick it. She got late contact by her opponent, who just banged it forward to the vote direction. And it's just big contest down on that outer side. And it'll be thrown up. As the game's opened up this quarter.
Still, it just looks like Collingwood are just a little bit more likely of scoring, a little bit more dangerous as they do move the ball down forward. It's probably more so we see Leighton actually taking those marks and hitting up, and then they're getting that overlap. We're just not seeing that from the Saints at the moment.
Yeah, and you're seeing that Saints are getting it basically to the 50 line, and it's a turnover and going back. So, they've had 4 inside 50s. Probably 2 of those have only been really penetrating inside 40, whereas Collingwood have been really dangerous, really deep, although they've got the 2 points. So you can just see that how more effective it is getting at that inside 30 rather than that inside 50.
So Leighton got the tap out, rucked her own tap, couldn't get a kick away. It was affected by the pressure. And the ball is held up just on the edge of the square. Still in the Southern Saints half so far, but on the outer wing.
And it's in these positions with this ball up that you'd like to see those running halfbacks take off so that we can get some width in the ground, because what happens is we're back to the thin side of the ground after, one ruck tap.
So Benici won the ball out, went a kick up the line looking for Lee, but it's cut off by Carlson. Carlson sends it back up that outer wing. Very close to the boundary was Brown. And it will trickle over the line for a last touch out of bounds kick going the way of Collingwood.
So your possessions are gold here on a windy day. If you take a mark, take your time, lower the eyes, hit some targets and just get the ball up. You don't have to rush it up there. There's no rush.
So Fowler with the kick in goes up, and it's again cut off by the Saints. So Carlson gets the handball away and just tackled and dropping the ball. Wasn't called dropping the ball, but swift follow-up tackle means we'll have another throw-in.
And again, like there was a handball receive, wanting to move the ball quickly back to exactly where it's come from, which is where all the numbers are. Take your time, use the width, use some shape, and get the ball up there that way.
Callie won the tap down to Bonici's path. Her kick was looking for Can. She couldn't mark it, but was a strong tackle on her opponent, made her give up the ball, and we'll have another ball up just in the center, near the centre of the ground here.
Mind you, it is easy me saying that because I'm not out there and feeling the wind.
Well, that's right. When I say, people just have to run harder, it just doesn't mean that I'm, keen on it myself. But that's, that's what we really want to see. We need to see. We spoke about the handball patterns. Those short kicking patterns, Hutchie, and these handball patterns. Absolutely crucial to how these two teams need to move the ball to open up the game, and the surge kick, which is just one of my pet hates. This surge kick out of a pack might be great if you're a bloke and can kick 60 metres, but what it's doing is really, they're just grabbing it and kicking it. It's just creating a turnover on that half-back line. It's going back the other way.
So it's three-quarter time here at Victoria Park. It's the Pies leading the Saints 1-8 to 6. Sorry, 1 goal straight 6 to the Southern Saints. No goals scored that quarter by either team. But the Collingwood with some handy points going into the last quarter. We're going to take a quick break, and on the other side, we'll have the last quarter here from Victoria Park.
The verdict.
I think jumps racing is back to where it needs to be. If you look at the quality and the depth of the fields, particularly in the feature races, we had 12 runners in the Grand National Steeplechase yesterday. The best form lines from New Zealand and Australia. I thought it was a terrific meeting.
The verdict, 9 till 10 Monday mornings. Part of Monday's Racing Pulse on RSN 927 for OTI Racing, where sport and lifestyle collide. Find out more at oti.com.au.
If you've had something stolen,
or if you've had property damaged, you need the police, not the sirens. If you've lost something or found something valuable,
or if you want to register a party or let us know you're going away on holiday, you need the police, not the sirens.
When you need the police but not the sirens, you can now report these incidents online at police.vic.gov.au or call 131 444.
Authorised by the Victorian Government, Melbourne.
Would you like a life by the beach? Make the sea change to Port Arlington Village. Just 200 metres from the water, just 400 metres from the golf club. It's quality beach living for the over 55s. Living in your own new home in the Port Arlington Township with a clubhouse, pool, gym and more. The best of the Bellarine right at your feet and Geelong just 30 minutes away. Don't leave it too late. Inspect the new homes now and see where beach life begins. See portarlingtonvillage.com.au.
Hi, I'm Peter Holden from the Women's Australian Rules Football Podcast, the show with the most comprehensive look at the women's game.
It's a great environment to be in, and it's continually just going to get more and more professional. Getting to wear that jersey for the first time, it's just a special moment.
AFLW, state leagues, grassroots and women's footy on the international scene.
The Iron Maidens are still very much the team to beat when we get the Nationals.
Tough to travel around Europe as lots of national team players still students.
Hear the program each Wednesday evening from 6 p.m. on RSN Carnival 1 Digital Radio, or download more than 170 episodes by going to warfradio.com.
RSN Carnival 2.
It's the VFL Women's Match of the Day.
Qualifying final at Victoria Park, Collingwood versus Southern Saints, and it's 1-8. Collingwood leading the Southern Saints 1 straight 6. In the other game being played out right now at Port Melbourne is Melbourne Uni leading Geelong 9-56 to 5-6-36. They're just in the middle of the fourth quarter at the moment, so it looks like the Melbourne Uni will take that game in the elimination final. But it's been a rough day here at Victoria Park with the wind playing a huge part in the game. Who do you think will win it from here, Meg?
Well, it's pretty even at the moment. It's really tough. I just said earlier on in that third quarter that Collingwood just look a little bit more dangerous when the ball does come forward. You've got Sharding Layton hitting up and causing either taking a mark or being predictable to her smalls. Whereas we're not seeing that from the Southern Saints at the moment. So, yeah, my pick's probably the Pies, just off the back of they just seem to be a little bit more predictable to each other, and just how they're connecting from that midfield through to their high forwards. And then, when you've got a Lambert and a Malloy lurking around that forward line, it spells danger. So, yeah, just that predictability for each other, that's what I'm seeing from the Pies, and that's probably why I think they're probably going to get over the line.
It's qualifying final at Victoria Park, Collingwood versus the Southern Saints in the VFLW Women's Match of the Day. Melbourne Uni are leading Geelong in the elimination final down at Port Melbourne. Elise Collett was down at the Pies huddle for three-quarter time. Elise, what was happening with the Pies?
Yeah, Penny Killery just had a few little notes up on the board for her side. Swivel, which open up the game, grind the game out, and one more step.
Thank you, Elise. Some few key messages there from Penny, cooler lead going into the last quarter here at Victoria Park for the qualifying final. Nicole Graves, what would you like to see from the teams in this last quarter?
Just listening to what Penny had on there, the swivel, I imagine that's swivel ahead, have a bit of a look around, and that one step might be that one step too far, or take that extra step. So the game, it's probably a pretty tough game to watch. It's been played on the far side of the ground, and that's obviously the conditions, but finals footy, and basically Collingwood have really just tried to squash St Kilda's run and carry, haven't they? Trying to use that angles we talked about at the start of the game, and Penny Cooler-Reid and her coaching staff obviously picked up on that, and they're sitting sort of in behind, almost pushing St Kilda into the game, and then obviously once they get it out, they flick it out wide and off they go. St Kilda's counteracted that. That's not too much difference in the inside 50s, but again, we know in women's footy, those goals are gold and how important they are. So it's been a tough half probably for both teams. A bit of deja vu of the first Collingwood game here at Victoria Park last year, I think, where the scores were, 1 goal 1 to 1 goal 2 for a 1 point win, and that's all you need is a 1 point win to keep going in the final. So it's going to be a great battle this last quarter.
So players in position now for the final quarter. Collingwood leading at 1-8 to Southern Saints 1 straight 6. James Strebenos to kick us off.
Drennan just pounced on that ball and went high and long to the Brown direction. Ball didn't quite sit up for hers. It's paddled across the half-back flank, or the half-forward flank, I should say, for St Kilda. It's wrapped up on that outer wing side. It'll be thrown up. So big implications on this game. As umpire tosses it up. Running through there's Benici. She's got a lot of the ball today. Picked up by Hines and just hacks away with a good kick out to, I think that's Bunker. As she does a nice short little kick, and it did carry just to Benici on outer wing. She looks inboard now and goes just inside the centre square.
Oh.
Big mark taken. Oh, it wasn't paid by Leighton. Crowd doesn't like it. There's ball trickling down the forward. It's Bahana. Couldn't quite pick it up. It's going to be a throw in the Saints forward line.
Shani was a little bit stiff there. I thought that was a great leap and launch at the football, and that's what I'm talking about with that predictability. Her teammates know that she's going to run and hit up at the ball like that. Yeah, and was just unlucky that it wasn't paid, because that was a great launch.
So Sheila in the ruck for Saints inside 50. She got a tap out the back, picked up by Johnson. She was thrown off it, now cleared away by the Saints. Sorry, by the Collingwood now. They just kicked it long to the outer wing. Carlson's there to pick it up for the Saints. She's just paddling it to her own advantage towards the boundary. Can't quite keep it in possession as it ends up in the hands of Phillips. Phillips goes the long handball up the line. Benici's there for the Pies, just looking over it, and we'll have another throw in on the outer wing.
Just play that record there, just on the outer wing. It has actually been a #1 hit for today.
So Hines now and Callie. Callie slaps it down towards Johnson through her hands, and Hines as he kicks it forward for the Pies. Lucas Rod gets a handball to her teammate as they go through the ground. through the middle of the ground. Sorry, Stewart slaps it over the top of the pack. Running in was Lambert. Sorry, not Lambert, but Casey. Handball wasn't great. Drennan was there trying to slap it forward with the Saints. Jumping through was LaJoya. She got the kick towards the outer wing for the Pies. Lynch is in pursuit there with Carlson, but Carlson will get there first or paddle it into an advantage, but into the hands of Lee. Lee kicks it towards the forward 50. Taking it was Lambert. Lambert takes off. She wheels around. She's tackled, but she got a handball off beforehand, trying to get this ball in the middle of the 50. Now kicked away by Fitzpatrick. It just went straight up into the air. Soccer and kick off the ground. Inside 50 now for the Pies. They're still 40 metres from goal. Shevlin got a soccer off. And it's in the pocket, but now cleared away by Callie of the Saints. Hines now will send it straight back in. Sitting underneath it was Agoya. She got the tap down. Got it to Malloy. Malloy was looking for goal, but it was smothered by Callie. And now it's going to go back out into the hands of Livingston.
So Livingston can go forward here, deep in 50. Where's Lambert? She might fly. She almost took the mark. She soccers it. I think it's a goal. She's made for the moment. She's made for finals. What a goal by Jamie Lambert.
In the meantime, we've got Ree Watt down on the ground over near the scoreboard over there. Doesn't look too great, just lying on the ground there, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, they've just called the stretcher for that.
But, you know, that's Jamie Lambert, you know, very predictable around goal, but unpredictable as well, and just knows exactly where they are. So dangerous. You know, if you could play two players on her, that'd be great, but you can't.
It is, and it's interesting, isn't it? Just doing the inside 50 stats, and we talked about this, and it's talked about lots in women's footy. You know, Collingwood and St Kilda have both gone inside 50 twice, and then Collingwood, the third time they went inside 50, they went inside that 30 metre mark, and then obviously the goals come. So you can see how important it is to get it deep and then really get it to a dangerous space in around that goal square, and that's where, you know, as I said, the likes of Jamie Lambert and such, those Collingwood smalls do their best work.
So all of the players have just broken off into groups around the ground, just having a chat as the trainers head out towards the boundary with the stretcher. So not good signs for the Saints.
No, that's Fiona Sturt, actually, number 26. So really hoping the best for her. She's only just recently come back from a knee injury. So
with the nerves.
Yeah, we've got quite a few players over there, support staff over there, putting her onto a stretcher. So yeah, wishing Fee all the best there as she's just lifted up and she'll be taken off.
And actually, yep, you're correct, Hutchie, because Rewat is actually warming up on the sideline. 26 and 28 may be the swaps there, and really, you know, it's really disappointing. These are the games that you do hate to see, you know, your stars and your players getting injured, particularly coming into, as I said, you know, drafts and such in the latter part of the year. So yeah, so it's really sad. You never want to see any player injured, but certainly in finals when you're getting this far. As we go for a reset, the players just rocking back to their positions.
So yeah, just a few of the Saints forwards there, some Saints back players giving it some support there to Sturt as she gets stretched off the ground. Looks like we're ready to go again now in the third quarter. Collingwood just extending their lead with a goal through Jamie Lambert. She's kicked 2 now for the day, so it's 2-2-14 to the Saints, 1 straight 6. Now, just the umpire just checking everyone's in position, doing a bit of a head count. So start time again in this fourth quarter. It's about 4 minutes gone in the fourth quarter as we play. Malloy rode the bump well but gave up the ball. Ball now goes towards 50 for the Saints. Greiser overran it into the hands of Guttridge, and it's been paid holding the ball. She didn't think she had prior opportunity, but now Collingwoods, they play wide, looking for Lambert. Lambert engaged early with Brown, but went to ground. Brown wheels and goes on the right foot, sending it into the Sheelaw direction. Sheelaw couldn't get a good grab at it. It's Guttridge, she's lurking. Sheelaw just uses her bum to try and get some over the ball as the clear and kick comes towards Benici. Great mark from Benici on the centre wing for the broadcast side. Handball out to Lambert. Lambert looking to go short towards Malloy. But Dargan will see it over the boundary line and will have a throw in half forward for the Pies.
And that's the strength of Britt Benici. She brings other players into the game as well. She's really always prepared to give off that hand. She looks around for the best opportunity. And as I said, those running players, you see Benici, Lambert down to Dargan.
So Carlson down the line. Wasn't the best kick as Malloy goes over the top. She'll ask for it back from Benici. She does. She'll ask for it again back. Malloy keep running the lines. Look how good she does it. She keeps her feet, almost trips over, goes into the 50. Collingwood could get a goal here if they want. Picked up. Couldn't quite pick it up, and Saints have the ball wrapped up in the forward pocket for the Pies. And it'll be thrown up.
Yeah, Chloe's so agile, and so her ability to keep her feet is just critical in not just
Lambert,
women's football, but footy in general, yeah.
So Lambert with it behind. She's always dangerous around there, lurking around the pack. Couldn't quite middle her foot onto that.
Probably could have handballed it off.
Yeah.
You know. When you're good, you may as well keep the ball in the good
She
player's
handballed it to
hands.
herself.
I think so what she was doing, Dutch.
So it's 2-3-15, 1 straight 6. Collingwood leading the Southern Saints. The Saints just work it up that outside wing again into the direction of the player there in Greiser. Greiser kicks it long towards the 50. McCarthy, she's in pursuit, so is McDonald. Goes the way now of the Pies as Hales. She goes across into the centre. Phillips says she was held, but it'll go to Vesley. Vesley goes towards the goal. Great mark. Taken forward inside the forward 50 for the Saints by Shearlaw.
As Hutchie mentioned, you know, Kate Shearlaw, really dangerous around the ground, but certainly up forward. She does have this ability to take a fantastic contested mark, and having that little bit of height on her oppo. She's usually a pretty good kick of the ball, and a really important scoring opportunity for St Kilda in this game.
So she'll kick it from about 30 metres out, almost directly in front. It's a bit of a tumble punt, and it's not going to make the distance. Picked up by G-Train. She's dragged off the ball. Coming through was Guttridge. She didn't get clean possession.
Where's Kate McCartney when you need?
Yeah, and Livingston will just clear the ball away, but it's picked off for the Saints by Watt, and Watt will kick it inside 50. Mark not taken by the Saints, but it's going to be held up inside 50. Players just jumping on the ball, and we'll have a ball up 45 metres from the Saints' goal. Yep.
Let's stop her around, and I've said that mine and Coach Kiwi's favourite thing is all the other players run the opposite way to get back into their zones for the rest of it.
Free kick now going the way of the Saints. Tara Bahana with the free kick. She's looking like she may try and pass it off, but she's going to have a shot, surveying her options. Bit of an angle, about 45 from goal.
It's going to be a big one.
Big kick. She puts it on the left. It looks like it's not going to make the distance, and Livingston...
It's a mark.
Oh, G-Train, yeah.
The G-Train.
I was going to say, yeah, St Kilda, all the arms went up. I thought, gee whiz, that was a good celebration.
Yeah.
Good celebration for a point. But, yeah, she's taken a beautiful mark. And see, again, you know, just a bit far out in terms of kicking from the 45, but gets to a really dangerous spot. Now, all of a sudden, when it's around that square, anything could happen.
So a sharp angle for Caitlin Greiser. Can she get it in? No, she's kicked it into the man of the mark. So Fowler goes back, and now they've got to clear it out. The Pies, quickly. It goes into the path of Drennan. Bad bounce for her. McDonald, she picked it up. She was dragged off it. So they're going to get another free kick.
And this is this dangerous space. You know, you get it inside 30, people, you know, the oppo start to panic a little bit, and they make those small mistakes where they give away a free kick, just, you know, over enthusiasm, a little bit high or a little bit late. And next minute, this scenario is happening.
So now it's Molly McDonald with a shot on goal for the Saints. She puts it, it's fading towards the right, and it's come off hands and over the boundary line inside the forward 50. Elise Collette, do you have an update for us?
Just quickly on Fiona Steer, she was taken straight off into the rooms. I suspect it's a left knee, the way she was positioned on the stretcher, and I also suspect that Kate McCarthy, her shoulder's not quite right either, because there was a contest on this wing a few moments ago and she came out of it clutching it slightly. She was trying to shrug it off, but suspicions that not all is well there.
So it's out of bounds as Sedinary's kick hits the post. It'll be thrown in deep in St Kilda's forward line.
Last 5 minutes, St Kilda are looking pretty dangerous, and that's at inside 30. They're getting it to inside 30, and they're putting a heap of pressure on the Collingwood defenders.
Yeah, it's making a massive difference, Hutchie. St Kilda, I mean, Collingwood is really dangerous. They've had 4 inside 50s with those 2 of those going inside 30, but St Kilda with 10 inside 50, 7 of those only inside that 50 and 3 inside that 30. So you can see how dangerous St Kilda are becoming.
So ball's played on centre wing. The kick will go forward by Shannon for the Saints, marked by McCarthy. This is where she does her best work. She played on, then realised she didn't want to play on, but she went to 40 metres out inside the 50 for St Kilda. Handballs away and a good tackle. Can they get a goal here? That could have been ball on McDonald, wasn't? Malloy just evades and gets it out. And the kick was good. That composure from Malloy, outstanding. As ball's played high along centre wing for Collingwood. And this has been the difference. The talls for Collingwood stepping up when they need to. Leighton with the mark on the wing. The kick was good. And they'll pay the mark. No, they don't. Very stiff for the umpire. Lucas Rod couldn't get her hands on it, but Lambert's taken high. Surely, umpire. Yes, the umpire 100 metres away had to call that one.
Jamie Lambert knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah, she played that beautifully.
Lambert inboard towards Malloy, and Malloy dropped the mark. Was under pressure from Johnson. Johnson picked off the handball from Malloy, wrapped up by Lambert. Just in front of us here in our broadcast position, in front of a very big crowd as well. Hanging around the interchange benches as Lambert probably looks a bit sore.
Yeah, probably just overusing the footy there, Malloy and Lambert. Just trying to do a few bit fancy things there to get outside, where they probably just need to release it back and inside.
So Lambert just went over the interchange for Dargan to come on for her, just a bit sore.
She got crunched.
So Lucas Rod got a handball to Drennan. Drennan was knocked high. Her handball to Vesley. She was wrapped up immediately by Leighton. And we'll have a ball up again in front of the interchange bench.
Look at this intensity, just lift.
I was going to say the heat has gone up.
So we're just forward for the Pies here. Just the broadcast wing cleared away by Lucas Rod. Sheila almost looked surprised the ball was coming her way. Ends up in the hands of Malloy. Malloy got around one, got the handball off, and LaJoya just got a handball, and the umpire says, yep.
Umpire's just putting the whistle away a little bit now.
We got Chloe Malloy now here, just dropping off into defence here. Just her bread and butter, reading the ball coming in, and she's not letting it go past her.
Yeah, she often uses a Mrs. Fix-It, Chloe Malloy. Chuck her wherever they need her. Umpire's just deliberating what they should do. Is it a free kick between the arcs, or are they throwing it in? Umpire says throw it in. I think that's the correct decision, as Rucks nominate. Just half forward for the Saints. Getting late now into this fourth quarter. As Hines just punches as far as she can, but wasn't far enough as O'Neill, just with a floater around the corner, goes to Phillips. Phillips is away, and from 50 just bangs it forward in the Sheila direction, but it's picked off.
Chloe Malloy.
And who else?
Don't we wish we just need 5 of them in each of our teams? We'd be pretty happy.
Yeah.
She's an elite player, Chloe, and just makes really good decisions. Takes her time. And those players that seem like they've got a mountain of time are generally the best in the competition.
Livingston's kicks to Xenos was good. Xenos' kick on the boundary towards Lagoya is out of bounds and will be thrown in on centre wing.
So she just got the touch over the boundary for it to be a throw-in. But it's Collingwood leading the Saints 2-3-15 to 1 straight 6. Not much left in this fourth quarter of the qualifying final. Hines and Kelly going for it. O'Neill got a handball back to Callie, and Callie will send a high ball inside 50.
The G-train.
Grimes was trying to appeal that she was being held onto, but Bahana came through and took the mark for the Saints anyway. Woman on the mark is still 45 metres from goal, so Bahana looks like she's going to go back and just have a ping. She's telling her players to just get onto the hot spot, onto the line. She sends it on her left. It's not going to go the distance and over everyone's heads and into the arms.
She just reads it so well.
That probably kind of just went over everyone and landed in Chloe's arms. So again, it's reading it.
Ooh, she's flirting in the back half there as she kicks it, and it wasn't a great one. Picked up there by Johnson. Didn't have the space to have a ping. And just hacked away by the Pies. And it's just dribbling out of bounds. Saints will get this back between the arcs. The umpire's deliberating again. Should be a free kick. It is.
Come on, lads, we don't have time for deliberation. Just make a decision.
Go to Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick very close to the woman on the mark. Big fly there, but couldn't take it was Casey. Second effort was good though. She tries to paddle it to herself.
Ooh.
And a massive tackle. Umpire says in the back. Saints fans aren't happy.
Probably a little unlucky there, just sort of falling in just at the last minute there.
As Cairn has the ball, half back for the Pies. Just soaking up some time. And the kick. There's a bit of panic, but how good was that by Hines? We're talking about the tall players for Collingwood stepping up, and there's an example as Cairn goes to the top of the 50, crashing the pack there and taking a good mark was Lee. Lee has a lot of options. She'll go short though. And find Dargan. Dargan's had a pretty good game. She's 50 out, doesn't have the distance. She's just telling them to get back. She takes on, she goes to from 50, it's on target. It's in the square. Who can step up? As Phillips kicks it away. Top of the 50. It's Hines, handballs and backtracking into tackles. McCarthy just runs through the centre, takes a bounce. Kicks it to an open 50. It's Brown. She's on her bike against Malloy. Malloy did really well there. Composed as she is. Trickles to Benici. There's a free kick going back to Malloy. Will they pay the advantage? Benici wants it. She does well. Great kick to Dargan, who presented. And time might be against the Saints now. Collingwood could just hold up the ball. The kick wasn't good. The punch there was okay as Hines just hacks it in 50. And it is picked off by the Saints.
So Carlson now in defensive 50 for the Saints. She goes back to Lucas Rod. There's only 2 minutes to go on the clock as Fitzpatrick sends it up the broadcast wing, but Hines, she'll mark it for the Pies, send it straight back inside 50. There's a player there in Lee, goes over her head. Shevlin's in pursuit as well in the forward pocket. She gets it, she turns, she snaps towards goal. Lambert picks it up and puts it through for a goal. That's 3 goals to Jamie Lambert, ever the opportunist, as we have said. And you think she's just put the Pies through into the next round of the finals. They lead the Saints 3-3. I'm very bad at maths. Anissa on 21 to the Saints 1 straight 6. Another great opportunity there by Jamie Lambert.
Just sneaking out the back, and you'd be just, St Kilda coaching crew would be just devastated. They've had all the play this quarter, and Collingwood just getting into more dangerous space on the ground and using their opportunities. And as I said, the finisher and Jamie Lambert, 3 goals, not a bad effort.
How good was Hines in that passage of play? She just presented, kept taking marks on that wing, kept presenting.
Yeah, delivering it back in, so dangerous as well. Really good effort the way that Collingwood set up the wall there to make sure that wasn't coming out and that they were going to get a score, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and that's where you can rush the ball if you do get the ball sort of at the top of the 50 mark. I know a lot of their coaching has been roll and go and get it in there nice and quick. You know, that's where you can move the ball quickly instead of trying to move it off half back potentially when you're just going down the line again. So get it in there, let your dangerous players, the difference Lambert, and she'll do it for you.
And here's Hines again. She won the tap on that occasion. It's just on the wing, or heading towards the wing, on the outer side, wrapped up in a tackle when the last minute here of the qualifying final, Collingwood look to be home. As Dargan out of the centre, couldn't quite get the ball forward. Callie with the banana in the centre. Couldn't pick it up was McDonald. Paddled forward there and did well was Shannon. As we've seen a lot of Shearlaw today. She couldn't win that one-on-one on that occasion. Shevlin just twisting and turning, getting herself out of trouble with a great kick to Lee. Lee can run onto this. She has some space, but she couldn't quite pick it up, and it'll go out of bounds, and it'll be a St Kilda free kick. And there's the siren. Collingwood are home. Collingwood win 3-3-21 to Saints 1 goal straight 6. And look at the scenes.
At least they can't go out in straight sets now, Collingwood,
yes,
this year.
Their first
crisis
final.
averted.
Yeah, we can't use that one. Well, the Collywobbles haven't started yet.
But Jamie Lambert, the star for Collingwood, 3 goals, kicked all 3 goals for Collingwood. Kate McCarthy, the 1 goal for St Kilda. So Collingwood, the winners in the qualifying final here at Victoria Park, 3-3-21 to the Saints, 1 straight 6. It was a game played a lot in between the arcs on the outer wing, with the wind wreaking a bit of havoc for the teams. But Meg, the Saints will be a bit disappointed with the effort, especially in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, look, I think also, you know, it shows how important it is to get that home qualifying final as well. I would argue that potentially, you know, had the Saints finished on top and the game being played at Trevor Barker Oval, the result may have been different, because they do play that ground really, really well. And clearly, you know, the Pies know this ground very, very well and understand, you know, what you need to do when the winds are doing particular things. So, yeah, of course, the Saints will be really disappointed. Obviously, you know, a bit flat as well, having sustained a couple of injuries as well throughout the game. But you know, the beauty of finishing in the top 2 is you do get another chance to rectify the situation and to try and fix some of the things that they didn't quite do very well. But, you know, all credit to the Pies. They did their homework. They knew exactly how the Saints wanted to move the ball, and they were able to defend it really well, and then actually, you know, beat them on the counter.
It was quite an even contest for, you'd say, the first 3 quarters even. What do you think the difference was for Collingwood throughout the game? They were able to just get a bit more ascendancy than the Saints.
Yeah, look, you know, we spoke earlier on about the AFLW players and what they bring to a team. And, look, I think probably that the A-graders of the Collingwood team were really the main difference, to be honest. You know, when a player needed a little bit more space and a little bit of a sidestep to get the ball forward, you had your Benicis, your Malloys and your Lamberts to be able to do that. I just don't think that the Southern Saints had that, you know, I wouldn't say they do have A-grade talent, but not just the A-plus talent, that really elite talent. So, yeah, that's probably, for me, was the main difference, is that those players able just to find a little bit more time and just hit some targets. And just get some territory along the way.
And Nicole, what was the difference for you for Collingwood?
Oh, listen, it was just really their finishing skills. I've got, as I said, we spoke about the big names early, and that's all good, but, you know, we also spoke about those middle tier players, and Collingwood, you know, their 2 kids in Xenos and, you help me with the word? Lagoya, I will get that. Lagoya and Xenos, I thought were really effective around as those extra players where those kids are around, the Lamberts, Leightons, you know, and Chloe Malloy obviously just stepping up when Chloe has to. The finishing off of Lambert, unbelievable. Whereas, you know, I think with St Kilda, yeah, it was serviceable, but in and out, not as consistent as those names at Collingwood. With, you know, Kate Shearlaw certainly having to, and Alison Brown, you know, Guttridge and Lucas Rod out of defence were, you know, worked really hard. Young Drennan as well, and Greiser I thought was excellent. You know, really worked hard. And most of those players were working back and forth. You saw Guttridge not just in defence, but up in the forward line, and vice versa with Greiser, both sides. And as I said, at the end of the day, when you've got, you know, Lambert at one end with those sneaky goals, and Malloy at the other end just stopping them and reading the play beautifully, it's really hard to gain momentum against those really elite, you know, and they are really elite players of the AFLW. So, exciting thing is that Chloe Malloy will be back to see AFLW 4, and we can't wait to see those types of players playing in the top competition. It's going to be really good. So yeah, St Kilda will be bitterly disappointed. You know, they really had plenty of the footy. You know, there was plenty to like about both sides, but I think the conditions and the way that, you know, that Collingwood set themselves up around St Kilda to push them into these tight contests, which St Kilda don't like doing. You know, there was probably a win for Collingwood there as well, and I think that really just kept St Kilda really tight, which they didn't want to do. And so, you know, even though when they were getting it, we just spoke about when they got it inside 50, it was only really shallow. They didn't get it really deep, whereas Collingwood, and as I said, Lambert's goals were all inside the square. Yeah. So it's not a bad, you know, so she kicked 3 goals, massing about 12.5 metres. Which sounds like, you know, spot on, and certainly, you know, that was about my distance in my playing career too, total. So she, it was just fantastic. It shows how dangerous the ball is when it's that deep.
Looked like the talls played a really big role for Collingwood as well, Meg.
Yeah, again, we spoke about this earlier in the call, is that, you know, Shani Layton and how she presented up the ground, really, really predictable to her own team. But, you know, she was also taking marks. She wasn't being pushed under the ball. She was presenting, taking marks, and then giving handball receives to her mids running through Benici, you know, Michaela Can, you know, all those players coming through, and then they could actually get inside 50 with a bit more, you know, I'd say speed, but then also a little bit more precision as well. So, yeah, I think the Collingwood Talls were probably a little bit more effective today than the St Kilda Talls. You know, I think Stacey Livingston did a great job down there rallying her backline troops and getting them into position where they could actually affect contests and not let the Southern Saints, you know, key forwards actually, you know, do their work. Collingwood probably dropped off, you know, some players into some leading lanes of their key forwards, but you know, just come down to hitting up really hard, hitting up with real intent and just launching at the football, which is what I think Shani did really well.
So Collingwood, the winners at Victoria Park in the qualifying final against the Southern Saints. They beat the Southern Saints 3-21 to the Southern Saints 1 straight 6. And in the other final that was being played at Port Melbourne, Melbourne Uni defeating the Cats 9-56 to Geelong 6-7-43. So I suppose for the Saints, obviously disappointing. They lose today, but they get the second chance to play again